Hello everybody, this is Stephen Whitfield with Drilling Contractor here at the 2024 IADC Advanced Rig Technology in Austin, Texas. And if you are familiar with our videos or Drilling Contractor magazine, you've probably seen this guy, heard this guy's name somewhere, Subodh Saxena of Nabors. He gave a keynote presentation here at the conference on data-driven drilling, autonomous drilling, all kinds of really cool stuff. It was a fascinating keynote speech, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that he discussed up there on the stage here today. Have it all for the audience out there. So Subodh, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you. It's a great honor to see you again since Norway.
Yes, we last spoke in Norway about robotics, but this is about data-driven drilling. And, you know, we hear so much about data now, and everybody's talking about, we got to use the best use of our data, all that kind of stuff. I want to get your thoughts, because you said it a little bit up there on the stage. What would you define as data-driven drilling, and what are some of the key components to that?
So I think data is a great equalizer, because data typically does not lie. Now, as an industry, we have always focused on what I call experiential knowledge. We really value people who have gray hair or no hair because we believe that they have a lot of value. But the challenge is that when you're taking decisions based on your experience, there is an implicit bias that comes. And I believe the way that we need to unlock the value is more and more going to be because of data, because the data is really, really critical in removing those biases and taking decisions that create value. And as I said in my presentation, the industry today, the service industry, is a $300 billion industry. And between invisible downtime and visible downtime, every percent is equal to $3 billion. And there is so much of inefficiency that exists in the system today that I think to extract that, we need to go and use data and take decisions based on data.
So another thing, you sort of talked about it from a bit of a Nabors perspective, but I guess it's also an industry perspective here too, about adopting automation, getting closer to autonomous drilling. And you sort of mentioned the need for an individual and a collective sort of transformation to help us get there. Can you talk a little bit about the different components within those two types of transformations and why it's important for that to happen?
Sure. So, as we have deployed technology and automation and digital solutions, they have been met with a certain amount of skepticism. And that is natural when you're trying to change and reimagine the workflows and the way things have been done. It's human nature. So the four things that I believe, which we have learned and I have learned during this process, the first one is people's resistance to change. So that is kind of a human reaction to do that. The second is the inability of the different stakeholders to come up with a commercial model which fairly distributes the wealth that is being created through this technology. And I think that is very much individual specific. And the solution in my mind is that you have to balance short-term gains versus long-term sustainable success. The other two things that I spoke about is interoperability. I think interoperability is a very, very important element given the limited amount of standardization that exists in our industry. And when we architect our digital solutions today, we have to make sure that they are interoperable no matter which rig they're going to go on. Because there is limited access to capital and there is limited access to talent. So one company cannot make all the solutions. So we really have to think about interoperability. Otherwise, we'll have to throw a lot of money to make things interoperable. And the final thing is, as we move to AI and generative AI, how do we capture human beings, the people who are working at the forefront, the knowledge that they have, the experience that they have in their head, codify that, and combine it with physics and data to drive something which is extremely powerful. And I think that requires us to capture the feedback from the field people and do this on an ongoing basis to improve our algorithms and our models.
One other thing that really struck me listening to your presentation was talking about how the lessons learned, sort of understanding these different challenges can help bring us closer to autonomous drilling. Can you just sort of explain that a little bit further?
So autonomous drilling, I see it as a system. So think from a systems engineering point of view, you have multiple things that go into autonomous drilling, and these systems need to work together in synchronization rather than colliding with each other to actually maximize the value that they generate. And today, these discrete systems are working well, but how well they're working together to be in synchronous is an area that I think really needs to be improved. And that will come through digital enablers, not by throwing more and more people to solve these problems. And these digital solutions, whether those are AI, Gen AI, edge computing, using interoperability, these elements of digital enablers are very important to drive to autonomous drilling.
Well, Subodh, always interesting information and once again, some cool insights. So thank you so much for sharing that with our audience here today.
No, it's a great opportunity. Thank you to you and thank you to IADC.
And thank you for visiting Drilling Contractor.